and welcome back to the review realm. It's Sienna, and today we are going to be taking a look at the film Inception, which came out in 2010 and is directed by Christopher Nolan, because according to this poster, it is one of the best 100 films of all time. And every week I review one of these movies on this poster, so stick to the end to see what I'm going to be reviewing next week. I have a random number generator. Pick which film is going to be next. But Inception has a runtime of 2 hours and 28 minutes, and it is definitely one of the notable movies that was created and directed by Christopher Nolan, and it definitely deserves it because it is one of his better films, even though it's not necessarily one of my favorite ones of his films. But Inception has a phenomenal cast. It's what you'd expect from a Christopher Nolan film. But we have the character Dom Cobb, who is played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and he is our main guy, and he is a thief, and not just a normal thief. He doesn't steal tangible things. He steals Sometimes he also gets hired to plant ideas into people's head, and he is now tasked with planting an idea into a wealthy heir's head, who is played by Cillian Murphy. And Leonardo DiCaprio, his character Cobb now has to assemble a team to try and plant this idea. Now, there are dangers when you go into someone's head, and he is assembling the team while also dealing with different trauma that has happened in his past from doing this line of work. Now, this film is a action sci-fi movie, and there definitely are parts where you do have to make a leap of faith, which I would say in majority of Christopher Nolan's films, you definitely have to do that. Prestige, which was also on this list that I did do a review earlier, that is also a film where you have to take a leap of faith. And when this film, it does tackle some really big ideas. You have to put on your thinking cap while watching this film, and you can't be distracted. There is a ton of information that is thrown at you throughout this whole film, and you're sort of along for the ride, and you're trying to grasp things, and you're definitely not going to get everything the first time watching this film. So it is very important to pay attention, even if it's the first or fifth time watching this film, because you're definitely going to see something new. And this film tackles really big ideas, and the emotional depth that it also tackles is very impressive for this type of film. It is definitely at its core a heist movie, and there are elements of that, assembling a team and going on this big mission and cool locations. It definitely has all of the things that you would expect in a heist movie, but then it adds these other elements, and Christopher Nolan just takes you to a whole different side, and you just kind of have to sit back and be like, wow, what am I watching at points? Because now this film is visually stunning. It's a beautiful film to watch. You're going to be impressed, especially if you're into how movies are made. I would suggest looking up some of the behind the scenes of this film, because it is very impressive how they made this film. Now, there are beautiful visuals throughout this whole film, and Hans Zimmer's score is, of course, amazing. Not a big shocker there, but this film really does take you on a journey, and the gripping performances are fantastic. Leonardo DiCaprio does a really good job. Again, this whole cast does, and you really do believe what they're doing and the dangers of it and the risks that they're all taking. And with this film, the pacing can be very fast-paced at times, which can be overwhelming because you're also getting thrown at all this information. And I would especially say in the beginning of this, you are just getting thrown at all this information that it feels like you're going through a workout, just because they are throwing all this stuff at you and you're trying to follow along and you're confused what's real and what's not real, but that's just sort of part of the experience while watching this film. There are things that are real and not real, and as an audience member, you have to sort of decipher what is this real, that what I'm watching? Did that actually happen in, so to say, the real world, or is this fake and happening in dreams? And you are going to be asking yourself that the whole entire time while you are watching this film. And the ending of this film is one of my least favorite endings of all time. I was so mad the first time I watched Inception, and I got to the ending and I thought it was going to be satisfying, and then it was not satisfying. I was doing mental gymnastics of what I just watched and why Christopher Nolan had to end it the way he had to end it, and I find the ending very frustrating. With a lot of movies, if you have watched my channel for a long time, you'll know that most endings I find frustrating, especially when it comes to Christopher Nolan, and this film is no exception. So I don't love the ending of this. I know that Christopher Nolan and a lot of the cast don't answer, like, was this real? Was this not? And that's good for them. Some people don't want to know or want to have their own reality of how a movie ended. I want to be told. I just want there to be a right and a wrong answer, and this film will not give you a right or a wrong answer. It's definitely up to interpretation, which can lead to debates, and I guess that's fun and exciting, but for me, I don't necessarily love it, so the ending is not my favorite. But overall, this film is a really good film, and if you are into heist movies or Christopher Nolan movies or want to get into Christopher Nolan movies, Inception is definitely a good gateway, and I would recommend it. But that's just my thoughts on Inception. Let me know yours down in the comment section down below. And now we're going to be taking a look at which movie I'm going to be reviewing next. We got the random number generator, pick the movie, and it is A Clockwork Orange directed by Stanley Kubrick, which came out in 1971, so stay tuned for next Tuesday where I will be reviewing that film. But have a great day. Bye!